So let's talk about another major attack, which is the man in the middle attack. Now, what happens here is imagine a scenario where we have two computers interacting with one another. You have them exchanging data and information. Everything is going smoothly until we now have a hacker who is able to position themselves virtually in between both computers, and they are able to intercept the messages being transmitted from computer 1 to computer 2 and vice versa. This is the man in the middle attack. So a hacker virtually is able to place himself or herself in between two computers who are communicating with one another and is able to steal or even modify the data being passed in between such computers. So let me give you a real world example of a man in the middle attack, and to do this I am going to take you back to the good old days before the invention of the internet and emails. So let's imagine we have a guy named Jim who writes a letter saying, "I love you" to Jessica. Ooh, now the postman intercepts the letter. The postman, in this case being the hacker, he then edits the letter to "I hate you." Jessica then receives the letter, and then finally poor Jim wonders why Jessica never called him again. So this is a real world analogy, a real life scenario of a man in the middle attack, where you have someone who is able to intercept messages between two or more people. So there are some key points to know about the man in the middle attack, and that is that it can only succeed when the attacker can impersonate both sides. So it's not just a matter of being able to position themselves in between two computers virtually. They also need to be able to fool both computers into thinking that they are the actual legitimate source or the intended target of the message. And an example here would be the attacker being able to impersonate the IP addresses of all the computers involved. Now, it is very common with unsecure wireless connections. A man in the middle attack is very difficult to pull off in a wired network, but where you have a wireless connection that is now unsecure, a man in the middle attack is very, very common. And there are three major types of MITMAs, man in the middle attacks. The very first one is the email hijacking, where an attacker is able to gain access to email accounts. So imagine a hacker being able to log into someone's email. They can read all the emails being sent to that particular individual, and then they can even decide to send emails to other people using the victim's email address. So that is email hijacking. We also have the Wi-Fi eavesdropping, which is kind of like what we just talked about in the presentation, where an attacker is able to hack into an unsecure Wi-Fi connection and then able to intercept the messages between computers. And then, of course, we have the session hijacking, where an attacker is able to hijack the connection between a computer and a website. Now, specifically, not just two computers, but a computer and a website. Now, in the real world, MITMAs have been very, very lucrative for some hackers, and an example here would be in 2015, where cyber criminals in Belgium stole over $6 million, and they did this by being able to gain access to the corporate accounts of several companies, the email accounts of several companies. So they were able to impersonate the companies, send out emails to clients and customers, who then send them money, thinking that the emails came from the real companies, not knowing that they came from the hackers. So that's it for the MITMAs, the man in the middle attack. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next class.